Mazarine, it's so good to have you back here. It's so exciting. And I'm really excited for the topic we have today. And we have Mazarine back here today. And Mazarine was my first guest here on the podcast. And we are back so soon because she has a new book, as I talked to you guys in the beginning of the introduction. And we're going to talk a little deeper about the book because the Mysteries in Color, I think, is such a unique concept in terms of I don't want to say coloring book, but for people kind of understand what it is without seeing the book. Of course, we're going to put links and everything. And I'm going to share also an Instagram live that we did. We both created together using the book. But Mazarine, first, welcome and tell us a little bit about, if people are just listening and didn't see the book yet, what the book is about.
Thank you, Jana, for having me back. It's wonderful that I'm back here with talking to you about the book, actually. So, as you said, the book, I hate calling it a coloring book because whilst it is coloring, you are supposed to color in the book. The book is really about working with your own perspectives. So, I think I'm going to use this word, which I came upon when I started creating my own body of work, which is called pareidolia. And pareidolia is really this neuroscience phenomenon where we tend to see familiar shapes and forms in random visuals. So I think everyone remembers looking up at the clouds and, seeing all these shapes in there, sometimes an eagle or upside down bear or even
stars as well, right?
Exactly.
People look at the stars.
Exactly. Not even just constellations, but you kind of tend to see that. And we still see this as adults. But I don't know if people recall that if you've seen something and you point it out and somebody goes, no, but I don't see that, but I see this. So the entire book is created on that basis. So taking that particular phenomenon of pareidolia, I started creating these ink blots. And that's how the book came about, because I also wanted people to create some sort of a mindfulness practice. And I find creativity through this book and through the ink blots is perhaps one of the easiest way to get into a sort of mindfulness practice. So that's really what the book is about.
So just going a little deeper, I think in our first interview, we talked a little bit about this kind of phenomenon, but just go a little bit for people can understand better. Does everybody can have that kind of ability to do that, do you think?
Absolutely. Because I think this is something I believe this was, okay, yes. What I'm saying is that we do see familiar forms generally. It may not be in the same thing, but walking past, I've seen people who don't even have an artistic practice, but they have taken photographs of, say, leaves and say, oh, that looks like a lip. So if you can see that, and if you're able to even draw a stick figure or pick up a color pencil or any pencil, you are able to create in a book like this. And people will see familiar things anyways. You don't have to be artistic to do that. It's just the power of observation. It's just, how your brain functions. It's really all about that.
Yeah. And I have the book, as I said, we did the activity together, but just so people can understand a little better visually. And I'm sure they're going to get curious and going to want to check the book. And by the way, if you're in the USA, the book is on Amazon and Mysteries in Color. And so the pages, when we say coloring book, that's why it's not fair to call the book a coloring book, because coloring book, as we all understand, the designer does some kind of design and you just color inside. What this book has that is so unique is, wouldn't you agree that the ink blots are some kind of abstract? The pages are abstract art, and you can do with that abstract art whatever you want in terms of creating things, right? And actually, when we create on Instagram, we create totally different things.
From the same ink blot.
From the same ink blot. So I think that is what is unique. And I want you to talk a little bit about why you wanted to do something that was different than what it was out there.
So let me just go back to my own practice. What I
Mhm.
realized, and this book has been in the making for nearly 4 years now,
Wow.
because I really needed to gather information from everyone, and I would kind of practice it with, when I was doing my classes, and I would give them that sheet as an exercise. So I realized that my work was called Mysteries in Color. There was, when I had my first exhibition all the way, I think it was 2005, we had an art critic that came by, and he looked at the work and he says, "Oh my God, this is like a mysterious kind of thing happening. I would call it Mysteries in Color." And I thought, that's a nice way of talking about my work, because what I realized that even though my work, I always start with an ink blot. I start with an ink blot and I create with intent on my canvas. So when the artwork develops organically, I start accentuating the form. So for example, if I feel I'm going to create a body of work with horses, I would throw the ink blots. That's how I start my work. And then I would start defining everything that I saw. But then I realized that people would be standing in front of my artwork and they would start identifying things that I had not actually defined myself. Or they started pointing out, "Did you notice that there was a dog over here? Or did you notice there's a human figure over there?" And that even though I had not created that, they could see it. And then I realized this is amazing, this perspective that people have from these ink blot foundations that I would start my work with. And I thought, well, how fascinating if they could have their own ink blots to define what they have seen without me touching those ink blots, because anyway, that's the foundation of my work. And also, I wanted, so like the conventional coloring books where there are, lines to draw within,
Right.
or there's a form, it's the same thing. It doesn't really allow you to expand on your creativity. Whereas this particular thing, it's such a wonderful mindfulness experience when you go through it, because you're so focused in trying to figure out what is it that I see. It's almost like a visual, what do you call it? Crossword puzzle or some sort of a puzzle. So sometimes some people have
That's
seen
true.
one whole thing in the ink blot, as you saw. I think you created a flower vase.
Of course.
Exactly. And I saw a little bear somewhere and a rabbit somewhere.
Right.
So it could be.
It was very cute.
Yeah. So, and also this allowed people to see other people's perspectives and actually embrace each one's perspective. Because I could not say, "Oh, Jana, that's wrong. That's not what I see," because you showed me what you saw. So I think that was really the main focus on this book, allowing people to have their own creative explosion on these pages. And when they've worked with families, so the beauty of this is when you start working with people in a group, it's kind of fun to see each other's perspectives when you're, like in a family gathering, because there's always this pull and push of, "No, I'm right, this was my opinion," but now everyone's got the same ink blot and you're all working off that, and you see, "Oh, that's true, I do see that now." So yeah.
But what would you say, because I think why is very unique in that sense, and something that the regular coloring book produces, though we are not against coloring books. I think they're wonderful. I was a guest on a podcast, and the host loves coloring books because it relaxes her, which they are amazing for relaxation, because your brain, you just color and you don't need to do anything. But what would you say if people see the ink blots in the book and think and feel intimidated by it? They feel that they have to know how to draw, because it's a very common block that people have in regards to art.
So one thing, like I said, this book is not about artistry, it's about creativity. So you need to forget about, you're not competing with a professional artist, you're not competing with a camera, You're not competing with each other. You're just worried about your own perspective, your own creativity. So this book is meant to bring the child out in you. So like I said initially, if you can draw a stick figure, if you can draw a line or a circle, or just potter around doodling with a color pencil, this book is for you. So you don't have to worry. And the thing is that, first of all, there are no forms, there are no definite forms.
Exactly.
So, and the other thing is, you're not starting with a blank page either.
Yes.
Right. So you're not intimidated. There's already a foundation. And I would say, sit with it. Don't worry about jumping onto the page right away. The book has 24 ink blots, so you can tear out the pages, which means you can take it to other lights. You can take it with you to a cafe if you're sitting. If you're sitting in your backyard, just pick up a few color pencils, crayons, whatever you have at home, and just sit with it a bit. The more you focus on that ink blot and turn the page around a little bit, look at it upside down, move your perspective, I assure you something or the other will come up for you. And all you need to do is then just start defining it. You can trace, you can color it in, you can do an outline. It doesn't matter.
And I think that is something that we need today is to have, even artists, is to have that practice that don't have any objective, any goal. The only goal really is relaxation and mindfulness. And I think we are losing that a little bit. We are very judgmental sometimes with ourselves. We forget to have grace with ourselves. And I think what the book does and these ink blots, they invite you to let it go a little bit. That perception that you have to do something magnificent. Sometimes we have to remind that it's a book. And there's no mess up. If you don't like something, go to the other ink blot. And you can always buy another book. And I think that at the same time, I think as you said, it sparks that exercise of creativity that we need. Sometimes we think that creativity we rely a lot on Pinterest or other things to have that spark of ideas. And I think if you are with something like that, that doesn't give you norms, doesn't give you a cookie cutter thing, it will push your brain to have that kind of thing, the ideas, without having a uniform way you have to do it.
Agreed. Yes.
And I think that's the kind of things we have to do more. Like, that's why I buy cheap notebooks and I just sketch with them and try not to look at anything. I don't Pinterest anything, just like there. Sometimes I hate it. Sometimes go to the next page. It's a 99-cent book.
Exactly.
And I think this is a little bit lost, don't you think?
It is. And you know what, Jana, I noticed that there are some studies that have also shown that just 45 minutes of just random doodling significantly reduces the cortisol levels, which is your stress buster in your head or in your, and the chatter in your brain. So doodling, you don't need to be an artist to doodle. So look at this book as a doodling.
Sometimes how many of us are talking to someone on the phone and we just start doodling or scribbling. I remember when I was in class, I would listen, for me to concentrate, I would listen to the teacher and start doodling on the side of my notes. Because it was a way for me to kind of concentrate. If you see all my college, notebooks, they all have on the side spine all doodles of me in class together with my notes.
And wasn't it such a free flow when you did it?
Yeah.
And so this book is all about doodling in a sense, but with somehow intent. Because
and I think you free up because it's like, wow, this is my notes from class. Like nobody cares. And I think that's what is missing today. We have to remind ourselves that nobody cares, right? We are doing the thing for the thing itself show up to us. I think that's something of the inkblots is like, it show up to us. But you just have to have a little bit of courage as well, right?
Exactly.
But so what is the thing that you've seen people use more? Do people just use coloring pencils, or what they are doing?
Mostly I
used markers.
I know, I saw. Beautiful. And you said that they were great enough, like it didn't bleed through to the next page.
No. And then that's something I was going to say. Like the book has very, very thick pages. I can't wait for my more colorful paints to get here because I want to play with the book with paints to experiment. And no, it was amazing. And I used Sharpies, which are very strong. And it didn't bleed at all. And what I like, because, even coloring books, sometimes you want to use watercolor, you can't with some coloring books. There are some coloring books that are very high quality, but the majority of them are not, and they bleed, and you cannot use watercolor. Or if you want to use, you have to use a ground surface on top of the paper, like a watercolor ground. But I loved, and I said to you before that I love the quality of the book.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have the kind of, especially when people are going to use all kinds of materials, right? Because we don't know what the creativity will call for. Yeah. But your main thing is for the book to be easy to take away with you. So then coloring pencils would be a good alternative,
coloring
right?
pencils, I mean, people have even used fountain pens, or they've used color, because we have such fabulous inks now.
Yes,
people have used crayons, because you can pick up a box of Crayola crayons from wherever.
Yes.
So really anything that is easy for you to carry, and like I said, because the sheets are perforated, the actual ink blots,
you can remove them.
You can just tear off whatever pages. You don't even have to carry the entire book. And I wanted to also add that with this book, we've been doing a lot of corporate workshops, which have been absolutely amazing. We did a couple of them with Sun Life. We did a few with IT. We are probably doing one with CAMH, which is another organization here for people with mental health issues. And it's such a stress buster. It's so wonderful. And especially when it's kind of a team building, where sometimes in a room we've had the business heads, we have had CEOs, as well as the sales
and all
staff.
these companies, they do have a lot of stress, and sometimes it's a lot of mental work, right? And I think it's great. I heard that a lot of more companies are doing this kind of workshops now for their employees, for them to try something just to distress their mind. And it's true. I was going to say, but just backtrack a little bit. You were talking about the cortisone research. Yes. And I did a podcast episode a time ago. And yes, I was looking at some researches. And also there is some research that says that they put two groups, one that didn't do art, whatever there is, not like fancy art, but one that they put to do arts and crafts. And they noticed that it sparked the frontal lobe connections. So it really relaxed them. So it is proven now,
absolutely,
by research, that any kind of art you do, I mean, if you think about it, the arts and craft industry is a billion-dollar industry. We have, I don't know what kind of stores you have there in Canada, but here, like you go to Hobby Lobby, because they are huge.
And over here too, there are quite a few, yes.
Yeah, Dick Blick and all this company, they are huge. And they are, I don't know even how many years. Dick Blick is like, I don't know, 50 years old or more, probably more. So it's a big industry.
It is.
And why? I think the reason why, because it gives people joy. It gives people, that sparkle. And also, don't you think that people can use something color and do the thing, and they can give away. When you give away to someone, I mean, we know that, and we see the pleasure that it's so good for when you give something handmade to someone, right? And I think that is wonderful. So in this corporate trainings that you guys are doing, what is the reaction of people? Do they get at first scared when they look at the
They
ink
do.
blot?
Some of them look at the ink blots, but the thing is, the way we facilitate the workshops is we kind of ask them to give us an introduction and when have they had practiced art, whether it was yesterday, a month ago, or they don't remember. Then we go in through, what the workshop is going to do for you. It allows you to de-stress. You're going to have fun with your colleagues and friends and see each other's perspectives as we go through. And then we show them a couple of examples, simple ones, and actually done by other participants. So they know that I don't need to be an artist. Somebody has just done a little visual of where, if they see a certain thing, they've just outlined it, or, just a bit of cross hatching with a pencil. So I just want to show them the simplicity of all you need to do is just define what you've seen. However
Right.
you do it is your page.
And in the workshop, they use what? Color pencils?
Well, what we do is I send them three ink blots which are not in the book, because if they want to buy the book, then at least it's a whole different set of ink blots. And we send them a set of color pencils and a sharpener. So they all have their individual packages, and we all work from each. So when I facilitate the workshop, we all start with the same ink blot, and we kind of have a little banter, and everyone points out, oh, I see this, and then they turn the page around. And then about 10 minutes, we play some soft music and everyone's working on their sheets. And the two things I ask them is, when you were working on that sheet, did any of you think of any sort of stress or anything that was life related? So say a workshop is on a Friday morning, I would ask them, so did any of you think about, oh my goodness, I have a meeting 2 hours into ours, or the weekend's coming up, what do we do with the family? And they said, no, nothing came up. We were just in the flow. So this is what I mean, the art and getting into the flow. And like I said, with the corporates, it's really interesting because when everyone held it up, it's really fascinating how maybe some might see something similar, but mostly the things, and I've created the ink blots. So sometimes when I've seen some of the perspectives, I'm gobsmacked. I'm like, my goodness, I never saw that.
Yeah,
So,
it's something interesting also. And also I want to say to people that the book has Instagram account, which is Mystries in Color. What I like also is that what you guys show in the Instagram and throughout your showing on the book, not just your account, but the book account, is not go right away. Like just look at the ink blot, turn around, reflect on it. Because this is another thing, we don't reflect much on things today, right?
We don't stay present. That's the whole thing. We just move to the next thing. Let's go to the next thing.
I was watching, I like a lot Eckhart Tolle, and I was watching one of his videos yesterday, and he was saying, I'm going to stop talking now. And if I stop talking for 1 minute or 10 seconds, are you able to just sit still and just feel the presence now? And don't feel like, oh my God, why is he not talking? Why he's looking me that way? Why is he? Are you able? So what we have to practice is sometimes just be still and look. And then he kind of stopped talking. And then he said, when I stop talking, I'm looking at you. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just feeling the presence. Yeah. And I love when you have some reels that you show yourself turning the ink blots. And I was thinking, wow. I mean, I think as artists, sometimes we do that with our canvases, right? We turn, we see, because sometimes we need a little spark of idea. Yeah. But it made me think about, wow, we don't sometimes just reflect on things. We just want to go for what I'm going to do. And just like, and that's why I love oils so much, because oils force you to kind of wait and reflect. Sometimes I give it a pause because I'm like, I need to give a pause, and I'm not worried because I know it's going to be wet the next day. While acrylics, I feel it rushes me. I
Yeah.
have to think really fast.
Yeah.
And I think that sense of calm and like reflecting is a little missing. And I think the book provides us with that exercise.
Yeah.
Don't go for it right away. Reflect what you
Yeah.
see, what you don't see, or what you want to see, right? Because sometimes it's about what do you want to see.
Exactly that.
I believe sometimes when you see something, it's because you really want to see that, right? And the book also has examples, right? The book has examples, and you have a video that people can connect with the book has a link there, and
it has a QR code, so you can just scan it, and it takes you to some videos that tells you what you can do when you see something. The video never tells you see this or see that. I just go through it and I say, this is what you could see, and this is how you would define it, and that's it. And also, Jenna, I'd like to add, when you said the reflection, I have noticed that people who have bought the book and have worked through some of the pages, now when they go out, a couple of them have actually taken a page with them. And when they're walking, they're not on their phones. They're actually observing the things around. Say they're walking with their dog, or they're just going for a stroll. It's almost the music is on. Yes, they would listen to music, but they're not on their phones checking emails. They're like observing. And most of them said, it's so nice to kind of subtly like, oh, I see that. Oh, this looks familiar. And a couple of them have actually taken a sheet and just a lead pencil, just an HB pencil. And if they feel, oh, I'm going to just sit by the seaside, or I'm going to be just sitting by a lake.
So like whatever they're exercising the book, they're taking outside.
Yeah. Or they've taken the page and they feel, I'm going to take this blue ink blot because I'm just going to be by a marina today. And I'm going to see if anything sparks. Sometimes it wouldn't. But the fact that they're getting into that mind frame of just relaxing, or just practicing a bit of mindfulness, or being focused, or being present, as we are all like, and we've gone through such a chaotic year and a half, that I think this is really needed, the slowing down of the brain and that chatter, that like, what happens next? I think that I'm really aiming that all these things get checked off with this book. Everyone is going to look at it quite differently. There are no like, yes, this is going to happen, but I hope that that is some sort of a help in moving that way with the book.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. But on the business sides of things, was that too stressful for you to launch the book? I know it's a process. It took 4 years to get the book together, but how was for you the learning curve to launch this book?
Oh my goodness. It took me, I have first of all, a fantastic designer and brand manager. She did my entire website for me. And she's the one who worked with the book. And then my husband, who's in marketing, worked on the wording, because as an artist, we see things.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we see things, and he says, no, I'm a lay person. So the book is 68 pages. So the initial pages, which talks about pareidolia, which talks about being mindful, which talks about an art process, and how to see these ink blots. He helped me. I mean, I, of course, had all the copy, because the way I was looking at it, I had to have my own wordings and my own take on why this book about me. But from a person who is in marketing, a person who is not an artist, helped create the words. So, and then we tested it with a few people. We asked people, does this make sense to you? If I have to give you this ink blot, and this is the content on how to, would you be able to go through this process without me being present and me not being able to facilitate? And so the clarity kept getting a little more streamlined. So it was about close to over a year before it went into print. And then even with the print, the papers had to be just right. And then we were wondering, do we have perforations or not? And I thought, well, the entire book, it's not the coloring book, right? There's a lot of information that allows you to understand why. How do you go through this book? So then we decided it's stupid for people to carry an entire book around. So it's easy to just tear off a page. And again, like you said, it's going to be your artwork. So the book is designed in a way where it fits into a really good 8x10 frame or an 8x10 mat.
Right. I was going to say that also, that you can frame the pages once you tear them up. You can frame the pages and you can give it away to people. And if you like the inkblots so much, you can just frame them. But also I've been following you through this process, and it's a lot of work, and to not just to marketing, but like to educate people on your vision of what the book, how the book can help them, right? Because, it's unique. And you have to make sure people understand. And I think it was a fabulous idea that you guys created the Instagram for the book, because it's a direct link, and you also have a website, right?
Yeah.
And because it really helps people to understand. Is the book right now available where? I know it's available here in the United States through the Amazon.
It's available on Amazon Canada. It's available on Amazon US. And I think we have changed the setting on Amazon US so that if people in the UK or India need to buy it, or other places, they are able to buy it through the Amazon US site. The Instagram account also has all the links in the link tree. So
I'm gonna
Mystries in Color also has its own, through Shopify, it has its own website too. So if people aren't able to get it through Amazon, they can buy it through its own website. And
and also I think it's a great way for people to immerse themselves on abstract art. I think sometimes there is a little misconception about abstract art, and people are intimidated, or something, oh, this is too easy, my kid could draw that.
Exactly.
And when you're really going to do abstract art, you see that's not that easy.
No.
And it involves a lot of rules of composition and things like that. And what I like also is that the inkblots, they have a range of colors. So there are some that are darker and some that are lighter. And I think that can appeal for majority of people.
And there's some that are very simple, which has a lot more of the negative space. So that if you feel like there were some where I did more casual, a more, not a corporate, but it was more.
That's true. Also, we should say, like, the inkblots, they don't take the whole page. So you don't feel like you have space in the page, to do other things that you want.
Because I mean, even working with a couple of workshops where we did with couples, there were 6 couples, and it was really interesting because they said, oh, I think I'm going to start on the white and then see if it connects to the inkblot. So again, and I think Jenna, you had also mentioned that it'd be nice to kind of journal in or write thoughts.
I think there are several things I have in mind for the book when my things arrive here. I think it's excellent for art journaling. I think if you are intimidated to be an art journaler, and I have a whole podcast and a blog post about what is art journaling, if you're not familiar with, at the blog. But the thing with art journaling is people are afraid of the blank page. And you can totally write on top of the pages and also add extra art, because this is what art journaling is about. You can do collage on top of it.
Totally.
I have all kind of crazy ideas, Mazarine.
I hope you're going to share it all with us, because you do some amazing journaling stuff. And
so I think it's the possibilities. I know the intent of you guys in the social media is to show people how simple we can be. But, for us, they're like a little more pizzazz and have more experience. I wanted to say to people that are listening, hey, if you are art journaler, if you are already people that have a person that has more experience doing collages and things like that, hey, go for it. Don't feel that it's just, and if you don't like color pencils, again, I used markers, I use all kinds of things. So just go
Anything.
for it.
Yeah, yeah. And it does bring the child out in you for
Yeah.
people who are not artists. Like I said, if you can draw a stick figure, if you can just scribble or doodle, the book's for you. But like you mentioned, it's great for artists because normally what I do is if I'm starting a collection and I've had because of the book, I've not had a lot of time in my studio really creating the work. So when I need a bit of a nudge, I just stare off a page and I just start at least that creative block. So it's even for professional artists who feel I have this creative block. It's like authors. They look at a blank page and you have these little prompts that they say,
Yeah.
okay, here's a line, finish the story. Or here's the end,
Yeah.
what comes before it. This ink blot is almost like that for artists.
Mhm.
You just get that little, you
Yeah.
have that
Then
creative
no
block and
pressure.
start.
No pressure. It's not
Yeah.
I have to put this on Instagram. Nothing of this.
No,
No,
it's
nothing of
just do
this.
what you want with it. Like you
Yes.
said, tear up the pages, cut them
And
up, add
they are
them.
absolutely beautiful. I can wait. I have some plans to do some collages with it and some stenciling with it, and I can't wait for it. Um, do you throughout this process have any time to create now yourself? I
Which
saw
is,
you just went back, right? Because you
I
were
just went back because I have a commission that I have to finish. And honestly, all I've done in this last little while is just worked on commissions, which is not a bad thing. I love that. But I haven't really created a body of work since my France show that happened earlier in the year. I just haven't. But the good thing is because of the book, if I feel, oh, I've just not created enough, I just sit down with a book and I just
I
get
mean,
going.
you've been showing us how to use the book, which is nice,
Yeah,
but I was just thinking, oh, she must be missing her studio
I
because she
do.
has been so busy.
I do miss it a lot, but like I said, this is great because it's at least something. I mean, I don't have to worry about I have to open up the studio, I have to get my paints out. Sometimes if I'm just sitting out and going through emails or booking workshops, which like I said have done really well, I just take the book with me and I keep doodling or scribbling on it. And I say, oh, I saw this today. I guess because also the workshops, I've seen so many perspectives that I tend to get into their heads and
So
say,
how
oh,
the companies contact you to have a workshop?
it's all on the website. So on the
Okay.
Mystries in Color website, you can book a workshop from there. And we do workshops up to 10 or 20 people. When things open up, we are, of course, open to doing it in person, which is
Oh, that would be
amazing,
fun, right?
which is so much fun. Because then we can play round robin. They can have breakout rooms, and you can 5 people with one
Yeah,
artwork.
so
And
many
then see.
ideas. Yeah.
So there are so many ways to have this workshop be more creative and fun. But so
Yeah.
far, we've been doing it on Zoom, and it's gone really well.
Yeah. And I was thinking, when people can get together, you can have even specific classes with the pages of the book,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. And by the way, your studio is your garage, right? To tell
Yes.
people that your studio is your garage. So, Mazarine, tell people how they can learn more and see. Of course, I'm gonna link, but how they can find you, how they can find the book.
So first of all, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Mazarine Memon, or you follow the Instagram link for Mysteries in Color. Both are linked. So whenever I anyway tag both,
Yeah,
the
I'm
other
gonna
Instagram is
post.
Mysteries in Color. And both of the Instagram accounts have the link tree, all the links, including my website. If you want to subscribe to the newsletter, I have a lot of updates on the book currently. And like I said, they're available on Amazon and US and Canada and through its own website, Mysteries in Color. And of course, contact me through any of these mediums if you want to know more about it. The book also, like I mentioned earlier, has a QR code, so you can just scan it and go to, there are, I think, 2 or 3 videos. I will be populating it a little more.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but there are about 2 or 3 videos that give you a really good idea of how to work on those books. But again, it's such an easy process. Honestly, pick up anything, take a look, and imagine you're on your back looking at the clouds and you see something. That's exactly what you would apply on these ink blots. That's
Absolutely.
as simple as that.
Yes, and I will, in the blog post for this episode, I will, of course, post all the links. I'll try to see if Instagram gives me the link of the IGTV we did, both creating together, and I'll post the picture of the one I created
Mhm.
and that you created, so people can see the difference of
I
the
can actually send that to
styles.
you, Jenna. I can send that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would recommend people to follow Mystries in Color because it gives not just such a relaxing account, but it gives you a lot of tips, and it's showing also you are reposting what people are creating in the stories and all that. And of course, if you do buy the book, tag the book there and tag Mazarine, and I'm sure she'll be happy to see what you've been creating.
Yeah.
And I can wait to see if you guys got the book. So
And we're
Mazarine,
also going to be doing a giveaway, by the way. So
oh,
next month, I am going to there's going to be to get a little mindfulness package, which has got some really wonderful things and the book. So I'll be sharing all those details on Instagram. So if you
great.
want to have the option of getting a free book with a whole mindfulness package, so there'll
Yes.
be teas and candles and stuff like that in that thing, then follow me and then
Yes.
you can.
Yes. And also we do our art talk every 2 weeks on Instagram
Yeah.
and our pages, my page, Mazarine page, and Marina's page. So I will sure to include that
Yeah.
as well in the blog post.
Yeah, because
Mazarine,
those are interesting.
yes, thank you so much for coming to talk about the book. I had such a pleasure. It's such a unique project. I think it will, it will really benefit a lot of people.
It will. Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Jenna, for having me.